Yesterday afternoon, um, Melody worked some magic and was able to build into the notification step of a workflow, any workflow, to include the click here link to take somebody to do the Adobe signature. And that's going to for sure be used on our residency questionnaire and the AB 540. So we're going to walk you through that. Well, actually, Melody, why don't you go ahead and submit it? I'll show you how to do it. If
Okay,
you want to
cool.
share your screen, then you'll be able to see everything in it.
Okay, so I need to be in the client? Or no, I'm going to be submitting it through the TD
You can do it through the client portal.
Okay.
And then go ahead and hit the residency questionnaire. Yep. Oh, yeah. I have to change the URLs here because I wasn't able to access your guys' environment. So we'll have to do it through TD You're right.
Got it. Okay.
So go back to the client portal here. Go to your name. Go to TD Next. She's going to generate this. Remember, we talked about this yesterday in the plus new button. You can manually start this. So this is if somebody walks into your help desk and wants to do this and wants to walk you through it. So you go to the plus new button, you grab the residency questionnaire, and you start it from here. This would be the same thing as that easy button. I have to slightly change the URL so that you guys don't have to authenticate through our back door to get to it. Pull in a type, which is mandatory. It's a student services type. And I can take a note and bake that one in.
Cool.
Same thing with the service. I'll look at that one and bake that one in too.
It looks like I don't see I see student services options, but not the residency questionnaire. Oh, wait, there it was. I saw it. I just
drop,
had to.
Yeah, the drop. No, that's actually a good thing to note. The drop down will only look at the first 5 alphanumeric, but the lookup will look up the total of them.
Okay.
If that makes sense. Requester, put yourself in.
Do I need to check this notify requester box?
That will just send you. Yeah, I would do it just so you see what the requester is going to see. I think for us today, I didn't make these mandatory yet because I knew we were going to be testing it some more. So okay. Scroll down. I think that's everything that's mandatory for now. And so if you hit save, we'll be able to.
Do I need to put my email address though?
No, it's not mandatory yet.
Oh, okay.
That won't fire anything. That's just a pure data field. So it's not going to fire.
Okay, so I can actually so you don't submit at the bottom, you save at the top.
Save at the top, correct.
Okay. And then give me a sec, let me pull this up. So this is what we did yesterday. I'll make it bigger. So.
Oh, you customized.
Yeah, that was the extra.
Very nice. Look at her go.
So when the student submits, it sends them an email thanking them for. So I need obviously A&R to give feedback on what to say. But it says, thank you for completing the first step towards filing for a non-resident tuition waiver. In order to review the request or signatures required, please click here to redirect to the official signature page. So however you want this worded, it can be adjusted. But what we do is we then click on this link. I'll switch back over to the browser. And then this is what pops up. So this is the widget. So then and again, if you need to revise this, I just took your signature page off the existing residency form that was sent to Jonathan. And so that's all that's included here. And it's just a signature. The date auto populates based on today's date or the signature date. And so they just have to click to sign. And then it gives them the option to either type it in or draw it in with their mouse, send it to their phone. So they just sign how they want to sign, click apply. They'll apply the signature, and then they just at the bottom here click to sign. And then please enter your email and then click to sign the document. And it's signed. So this one has that, since this is the residency questionnaire and it's required to be a certified signature, it does do that final step where it emails the student a confirmation email so that they have to go into the email address they provided and click that link to confirm it's them. And that certifies it. So if you want to see what that looks like, I can show you that real quick. So click thank you for signing, confirm my email address. After confirming your signature, all parties will receive a copy of the form. So the student gets a copy of the form they just signed, as well as the widget owner, which Daniel, I'm assuming that will be you, but you guys can let me know. So. All of you have access already to log in, and you can go under manage and view already signed documents, download them, throw them into Extender if you need to. But as far as the email notification that it was signed, that goes to one email address. So right now it's going to me, but I can have it go to you, Daniel, or anyone, just in case you want to say, oh, heads up, a signature just came in. You may not even care about those confirmation emails and just have them go to a folder automatically redirected and ignore them, because they could just sign into Adobe Sign and access it. They don't have to access it within the notification email. But that's how the official signature piece is captured.
So if you are not all standing with a standing ovation and applauding, you should be, because Melody did some wonderful things there. And I think that was the biggest hurdle, and in all honesty, folks, that was the biggest hurdle for these two forms that I was worried about. And when she showed me that last night, I literally jumped out of my seat. So what we did there, so everybody does a little round of applause. How that changes the workflow real quick, let me just show you what that does. I'm sharing my screen. Are you able to see my screen again?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So if you remember from yesterday, this is again our workflow. All we did was we added two steps, the notification step here. So it comes in, these two steps actually fire in parallel at the same time. So the admissions and records folks are still going to do their review of the data that was captured on the form from the requester. Simultaneously, while you're reviewing this, that notification goes back out to the student, right? And it, and I'll show you the little widget magic that she added here. And this is the power of having her have some HTML knowledge and understanding here. So down in here in the body, she embedded over here in the click link. Click here. So within here is where that magic happens to take you out of the tool into Adobe for that signature to happen. And it worked, and you just saw how it works. We did it, we tested it last night and it worked. And we can do this as well on the other parts of it. So the only other added step would be to add another task here to review and validate the Adobe signature, because you'd have to do that in your Adobe signature portal or whatever you call that on where those signatures are. You have to validate that that signature has been captured in there, that the student actually did that. Okay. Yay, thank you, Melody. Isabel.
And
That's
this
Isabel's
is,
comment.
oh, cool. This is also where you guys would edit the text, by the way. I saw Vicky was in here yesterday briefly, but in the workflow, if they just go into the gear and select edit, you can edit the text. Just be careful not to get rid of any of the brackets or the other stuff you see, because that's how it's formatted to include the logo and how we're breaking up the lines so that
Yeah,
it's not all squished together.
yeah, let's walk through that again. Again, this is part of your guys' homework that I sent yesterday. Any of these notification steps, the wording on here is pretty bare bones that either Melody or myself have put in, right? So you'll probably want to, the hello. She's already got the requester's full name in here as the a template tag, HTML template tag, and the admissions and record staff as well. But up here, you might want more. This is what she's asking for you guys to edit, right?
Right.
This stuff over here, leave alone. And so you would edit it up here in the body, and you can edit it by right here. Thank you for completing the first step towards filing for a non-resident tuition waiver. So these are the words, right? And you might want to, as we talked about yesterday, you might want to put any more, any other contact information on here, or break it up so that it's not just one sentence coming across, that maybe you put a paragraph right here.
Yeah, we could maybe have a link to the long description again, or something that explains the process in case they're not checking their email until 3 hours later and wondering what it pertains to. Yeah.
So I don't see Vicky on today's call.
Yeah, she's
I just want to make sure.
Yeah, she's in she's in a student meeting right now, and will be till 3. But I mean, I'm sure this makes Melody happy because I learned something from Melody today. That's always a good thing for Melody.
David beats me in trivia every time we have it, so it means a lot.
We'll be able to,
on this particular,
especially with the breakage of the lines. That's. I mean, I don't have a lot of skill, or I don't know if, how much skill Daniel has with HTML. So that's something that we may call on other people to assist in further editing if needed.
Yeah, and just know, I mean, the text from your area is the important part. Once you've gone in and put in text, you could always let us know. Say, oh, by the way, I've updated our workflow notifications. Can you clean it up? And that's easy to do. But you'll see, even just in the one that I added, that break, you could copy and paste that little bracket and it adds breaks.
That's what I saw. It's like, it should be fairly simple to copy and paste. So just like, so that's and not everybody will be doing.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. For example, not that we have to spend a ton of time on here, but is this the break you're thinking about right here?
Yeah, so paragraphs add breaks naturally, but adding the additional break just was so that it was not as tight, because it still seemed a little crowded. So it just adds an extra line of space. So it's just that little one, the bracket BR/bracket. That's all you need. But you could always use this, copy and paste it, and then just change the words, and then you have everything else.
No, that's what I'm saying. I mean, you'll have the logo, etc., or whatever else. If we want to change the way the logo is, and that's something that can be done at a later time.
Yeah, I didn't know which logo you wanted to use either, so since there's more than one out there.
7.
I think that would. See, that's what I did there real quick. I just made it so that there's 2 lines now instead of one long line. And then you may want to do that again for the, let's see, right before the word please, right here. Might want to do it again. let's see what that looks like. And sometimes it just takes a little bit of playing with it to see if that might be the route you want to go, something like that. So on this particular workflow, the homework is to edit the HTML on these three. Now it's 3 notification steps, right? Because yesterday it was 2. It was the approval one over here, the rejection one over here, and now we added one. And that will be the same on the AB540, because the AB540 will have to add these 2 steps on that. So again, you want to come in and edit the notification steps on your workflows so that the words in here match what you guys want it to say.
We'll have that done today. We'll have that done today.
Oh, looks like someone's been starting on this one already. Look at the preview here.
We worked on it yesterday.
Yep.
Awesome.
So, yep. So in this one, you'll probably want to do what we just did a little bit, is put in
the breaks.
the breaks in there. Correct. Yep.
And
so then it shows.
And you just put the little you know, the BR with the brackets and everything. You just put them right after the sentence that you wanted to break at, and then it'll automatically do it, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So I'll do it for you real quick right here. This should work well while I got it copied and pasted. You might have to do a little bit more magic if you wanted to do like different spacing. Let me save that. Always hit this green save button up here. Don't forget about that, even after you do the generate preview. So that's a little bit better.
Okay.
I don't know what the code is to put a space, because you probably want a space between.
And in BSP semicolon.
Say that again.
Is there a way to mute Melody?
Hey, he said he didn't know how to do it, so I just said how to do it. But since it's a WYSIWYG, it should just take your space if you hit the space bar. But that's the HTML for a space in the event anyone wants to know. See, David, now you learned 2 things today.
Sorry, Mark. I got
NSB. Let me try that. Is it just the text here, Melody, like this?
Yeah, it's just like that. So that is equivalent to a space, like if you hit the space bar.
Okay. I see it. I see that.
Oh, put a space over here under should. I was thinking space. Oh. So strip it out of here and put it in the line below. Apologize, I don't work in HTML much.
I'm not sure what you guys were trying to do.
See down here, I was trying to put a line space between record.
Oh, so you want
please.
even more space? You could those breaks. You can put 2 or 3 at a time. Like if you'll, in the other one I had, I think 2 or 3 in a row at one point. So you can put 2, and it will give it even more cushion in between.
Yeah. So breaks are basically enters.
Right. Exactly. Mm-hmm.
Cool. Yeah, I'm not too familiar with HTML and all that, so that's.
There we go. That's what I was looking for, to break it up there, to have this white space in here. So break.
Looks good.
All right.
So we should have had HR on here. They know what back-to-back breaks are.
Ha 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 ha.
Oh, that's the dad joke of the day. All right. So feeling pretty good about things, folks. Next up is the AB 540. We wanted to test this one out and get your feedback on it, right? So again, we don't have the signature in the workflow yet, so that'll be simple enough to do now that we know how to do it. But this is how it's going to get generated. Again, it's grabbing my internal URL, and that's why Melody wasn't able to hit that easy button to start this at the beginning. So just an FYI, I'll strip out this URL eventually and put your guys's in when we're ready to swap it over in your web portal, and it'll work appropriately. So for this one, again, this is the another one that I get a little bit nervous about from a legalese perspective. So wanna make sure you guys include all of your legal disclaimers and all of that, and make sure this is meeting your regulatory needs, right? So this one might need a good set of eyes to go through. Once again, I think the consensus is to make these mandatory, which I will do. But for testing, it's just easier so that we don't get stuck in a form. But this one's relatively short. So again, it's going to have the student name. I think we talked yesterday about embedding admissions and records in the account department for all of those. So we'll look at doing that.
Mark,
That
while
title
we're here,
again,
while we're
Sure.
right here, can we look at where we the exact place where we put the short and long title?
absolutely. So that can be done in one of two places, either in TD client or TD admin.
We don't need to jump to it right now. I mean, it's whenever it's convenient. So I mean, if we want to, but before we leave today,
it's easy. It's easy. It's a piece of cake. It'll take me 2 seconds. So this is a service. So if I go back to the services area in the client portal, remember I'm in the client portal here, and I'm in my student services category. Here's where our 5 services are, right? So for that AB 540, this one is going to show the initial short description. And when I click on it, it is going to show now this is the long description here, right? And then right here is how I edit it right here in the client portal. So you guys that are admins will have this edit button over here, FYI. Okay. If you don't have admin capabilities in the tool, you won't see this edit button.
Yeah, we were banging our heads yesterday. It's like, where the heck do we edit these titles? And I'm like, so we were kind of lost.
So that's one place to do it, right? And we'll want to make sure you have editing capabilities to do that. And then here is the short and long description. Here's the long one, and here's the short one. And then you make your changes and save.
Thank you, Mark.
Thank you for that. Yeah,
Yep.
that shows us where to go.
You can also get to that same spot inside TD admin, inside your applications, and remember you're going to go backdoor into your client portal, right? And then from here, service catalog, services, find your service, again, that same one, and then edit it. And in my email yesterday, I did give you instructions on how to edit that, and it was through TD admin. So in my email yesterday, I didn't give you the instructions through the client portal, but through the TD admin, right? So it said, at least I think, yeah, HTML and the long description done here. TD admin, applications, client portal, service catalog, service, select service, and then edit.
I think
So if you see that,
we had already started our meeting and started looking at the stuff probably a little bit prior to your email, so that's why we didn't.
oh, no
see
worries. Oh,
Good
no worries. No worries. But there's two ways to do it. This is the way that I emailed it to you, but that client portal one's probably even easier to do it, right?
That actually does. That's awesome, Mark. Thank you so much.
Yeah, absolutely. So then here's the edit button here. And then when you scroll down in here, again, here's your short description, and then there's your long description. But again, the client portal is quick and easy too if you're in your client portal. Again, though, you do have to have the admin privileges here. Otherwise, you won't have, if you don't have admin privileges, you won't have the edit service button, which is this one right here. And if you don't have the admin privileges, you won't be able to access the overall admin area. So then you'll have to go through like Melody or James or Jonathan or Daniel.
Daniel's taking great notes right now. He's excited about taking all these, making all these edits.
Yeah, I'm
Alrighty.
double checking if I have that, and I do, so I'm good.
Yeah, I thought you and we gave you that about 2 weeks ago, so
yeah,
at least you should be set. If you want me to give David, or you guys talk and want David to get those privileges too.
That might come in a couple of months, Mark.
All right, sounds good. Sounds good.
I mean, we're still looking at licensing and everything else. So it's right now I'm just an end user.
So this one again is another one we were trying to do the test widget before. We'll strip that out. So again, this is the AB 540 exemption request. Campus ID number, email, eligibility conditions that may apply to me that they have, right? And then there's a lot of supporting documentation. Attach official transcripts below. Attach school year information below. The other thing we can add here, Melody, as I'm thinking about the Adobe signatures, we can add, much like this right here is what we call static content, meaning it's just more of an announcement to them. We could put something like that towards the bottom that says, Adobe signature is required for this request. You will receive an email notification. Please provide your signature via that, that whatever we want to call it, through that method, right?
Yeah, I like that idea. If it works for Vicky and the gang, I think that's a good idea.
It's definitely worth trying out.
Yep.
Yeah.
So again, what I want to make sure you guys review before you make this production ready is, again, the short and long description, which you already know how to do that. But then this information, which is the short description here, and anything down here, just to make sure that this has the legal ease that you want it to have. Again, I just copied it in here. This might be good enough, and it is. That's fine. But for our edits, again, I'm taking notes on here for this one, is to strip out the test widget and add in Adobe signature will be coming, something along those lines. So I'll add that in there. And then in the workflow for that, we'll add the for this particular workflow, we'll add the Adobe signature notification, and we'll add the task to validate that they have the signature. All right, so I will hit the submit request for this, which again is going to fire off emails to Daniel. I think Isabel is in that group, maybe
Yeah,
David. So again, what that did is it dumped it into the student services ticketing application. And I can already see in my submitted tickets, but in general, it's going to land in here. Here's the request. And then you see I got an email of it over here. And then now we're back to looking at the body of the ticket overall. We're all should be getting really familiar with all of our capabilities here. It is in a workflow, and I can check the workflow history and view progress to see where it's at. So right now, again, we have the task for the admissions folks to validate the data that was brought over. And most likely on here, you're going to have to go into those attachments, right? Which will be they'll be down here in these attachments. Because if you remember, we asked for a lot of attached transcripts and that sort of thing. So that's where you would do it, is you'd pull up those attachments down here and look at the data that's captured on the ticket over here and the attachments over there, right? The view progress, again, will show us our workflow. And as I mentioned, we'll have to add 2 steps in here, the notification step here, and then the task to validate that the signature is done there. And then this will just be the regular workflow of updating the student profile and then sending out the notification of approval and rejection, which again is going to need the editing of the HTML. So I will X out of that. So again, the admissions and records folks would be reviewing the data captured from the student and the attachments, making sure that all the information is there, and then marking it complete. And then at this point, it would go to the, in parallel, it would have already sent the Adobe signature notification out to the student. So then this next step here would actually be to review that the signature came in, right? And then you guys would do the approval step of everything on here. So either approve it or reject it. So I'm gonna approve it, put any comments in here, save it. And now the student profile I believe needed to be updated based on the workflow that I had earlier. So that would be the admissions and records folks would do this, update their profile with those documents that they had sent over, right? While that was happening, I got this approval notification email as if I'm the student, right? Approved. And then you guys would complete this update their documents, put them in the files that you needed. And then this checkbox here means that the workflow has been completed. So it changed the status from new to in process. The reason I don't have this change to say closed or resolved is because the overall ticket's not closed or resolved yet. That's usually a final one last step that is done usually right here with this update that we talked about yesterday, right? So the workflow in and of itself doesn't necessarily close the ticket out, right? It's this last action item on there, which is usually a manual, which means somebody in admissions and records needs to come back and close this out, usually. If you don't want that kind of last step oversight, we can make it upon approval say closed. And if you feel confident that your process is certainly done, then we can change that to closed. But if you want somebody in A&R to do kind of one last review of everything, then they can manually come in here, update, and close it out. Any thoughts or feedback on that? Do you want it to, and I can show you, it'll just take 2 seconds to show you how that would happen. And maybe if you see the other option, maybe that will trip your trigger on which route you guys would rather go. And there's no wrong or right answer. It's just kind of what's more right for your environment. So I'm going to go back into your student services. I'm going to go back into your workflow. And I'm going to go into this one. And I'm going to, anytime I need to edit something, I do need to check it out. And then the overall workflow details. So this in process can be changed so that the approval at the very end could close it out, and the rejection at the very end could close it out too, right? And that might be the proper status when that happens. So if I save that, I can always switch it back. Let's do the same thing, but we'll do a rejection, right? So I'll go back into my client portal, another one of these. Submit the request. I've got everything mandatory, no biggie. So just to fast track this through. Again, you guys are all going to get pinged. I'm going to come back and check on it. So this was the one that I was just working on, and it's changed to in process. This is the new one that just came in. So let's fast track it, mark it complete. Notification goes out for the signature. Now I'm at the approval step. I'm going to reject it. And now that it's been rejected, it's marked to closed. So if I close that out and I refresh, it's actually in a closed state, which means nobody's going to see it unless they filter on closed tickets. So that's the difference. Marking it to closed, right? If I switch my search filtering criteria over here and I apply it, now it's showing me all of my closed tickets, right? Here's a closed status. Did everybody follow that process along? If I mark the end state of the approval in the workflow to in process, it will stay in essentially the active ticketing application for you. And if anybody from a manager or wants to review it one last time before closing it out, they can do that manually, if that makes sense, to have that last manual step. Again, that would be on this one here, because it's still in process. This is the first one that I did. So some organizations you know, when a workflow closes, they don't want that to be the last thing on it. They want to be able to, you know, control and look at everything and do one last check before they come in and update, and then mark it to close manually here. Put one last comment in here. All items, including signature, student signature. All items have been completed. Right, and then they can send that notification out, like we talked about yesterday, to other people if they need to be included in this, and then save it and close it out. Or we skip this part and it automatically gets closed. So any thoughts on one or the other?
Now, Mark, let me ask you, this is Isabel. Okay, so once we close it completely, we can't go and revisit that same ticket. For example, we close it, but then the student, brings some more documentation, so they're able to prove. So can we go in there and edit and change our, can we do that?
Yes. Yep. So you could come back in here and say, I want to look at my closed tickets again.
Okay.
That'll pull this up. Here it is. And maybe I want to add an attachment in here. They sent me something else, so I want to add something in here, and I upload it. Or I can even do like another update on a closed ticket and send it on out to all of you folks. Right, so I can still get at the ticket. I can still interact with it should I need to, but it's in a closed state. And 90% of the time when you close out a ticket, you're probably not going to need to get back at it. But you can if you needed to. Yep. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So the only, like I said, I don't think there's a right or wrong answer for that question, folks. It's just a matter of, you might have, let's say you had 10 AB 540 requests come in. Any of the ones that are in a status of in process, you'll know are done. Any of them that are in new have just come in and are being worked on. So you just might have 10 of them in here. And they'll look like they're active. And then again, to final, like think of it as a final closeout, right? Is to come in and do this last update. So you may want to do that as you are using the tool first to start out, when you realize that, hey, we don't need this additional manual step. We can just mark it to closed at the end of that workflow and be done with it. So that, as long as you know how to do that, that's the decision point. And if you want me to mark all of your workflows currently so that they say in process and stay in the open tickets queue, I can do that. Or if you want me to mark them all as closed, then they'll close when the workflow is done. Any preference at this point, or do you want to take that as a homework item to discuss amongst yourselves?
I think we should discuss it. Me and the team will discuss it.
It's a real quick, easy change. Either way, it's no big deal. So let me show you that again real quick, because I know I've shown you a lot. But again, so I'm back in TD admin. I'm in my applications. My workflows are always in the application that I'm designing them for.
Yes.
My workflow's down here. And then I just want to go into all of these and open them up So I'd go back into the AB 540 request. I'd view the builder. I'd need to check it out, file checkout.
Mm-hmm.
And then all I would have to do is go into this workflow drop down here because I want to change the details of the overall workflow. Think of it that way.
Mm-hmm.
And then in here, here's your approval status, rejection status.
Yeah.
As part of my notes today, folks, I'll also send you an article that walks through the ticketing workflow steps and all of that. That goes over everything that I've shown you over the last couple of times. So you can always refer back to that, and you can always ask me questions. So this is currently marked to closed, right? And I could just mark it to in process. Or in process, or I could mark it to resolved, and then you can mark it to closed. So either or, it's completely up to you all. Right now, all of your workflows are marked to in process in both of these phases, just because I thought you guys might want to consider having kind of that one last final manual check before you closed those out. But if you find that that's too, not needed, extraneous, then just come in here and toggle that to closed for all of them. And then always make sure to save and check in after you make any changes. Otherwise, it will stay checked out to you over here. So what I'll end up sending you as part of my notes today, so we can walk through it along with the recording, is a KB article on ticket workflows. So this will just be a link to this article here. And this will walk you through, it'll be this one, which talks about the different steps, and this one about configuring them. So this will talk about all the different steps around the workflow that we've seen: the approval step, the branch, the choice, the notification, which we've been using, the task. The task is probably used the most, then probably the approval and the notification. There are certainly others in here as well, but this will walk you through the types of steps that are available, and each one of them opens up another article that talks a little bit more. So if I click on what does the notification step do, can I get more information about it, it'll open up another one here and give you even more detail than you probably want to know. So I'll send you this one, and then I'll also send you one second here. I'll also send you this one here that will talk about the configuring of the entire workflow as it is, right? Which will talk about check in, check out, the save, draft, the validate, which Melody and I talked about yesterday, the validate and arrange on your workflow steps, the stages. Again, a lot of information if you want to do a dive, and then there's supporting documents over here too related to that. So if you're one of those people that want to get into the weeds, we can get you into the weeds real quickly. Alrighty, so that gets us through the residency questionnaire and the AB 540 exemption. Melody, would you be able to work your magic in this workflow to add in that widget? Or in our last 5 minutes, do you want me to add those two steps while we got everybody in here? And then
Well, if you
just
could
go in
add the
and
steps so that we have it in the recording, that'd be great.
Yeah, let's do
the
that.
biggest piece that we're missing, which I guess for now you can just copy the other, is that we need to create that signature page. And I don't think the AB 540 signature page is separate like the residency. So definitely would need a.
Oh, you don't think so?
I don't think so. I think, isn't it all on the same page, guys? the AB 540.
It should be on the same page.
Yeah. So, whereas in the other one, the signature ended up being a final page by itself. And so it was easy to separate that one page out and throw that into Adobe Sign. So, in order not to confuse the students, I didn't want to put any other fields that look like they needed to fill them out. It should just be a confirmation, like signature page, similar to what we did with the residency. So I don't know if you guys want to wordsmith.
Oh.
You know what I mean? Like, so I just don't have a
Oh.
signature page to drop into Adobe Sign yet. I could reuse. You could reuse the residency one just to build out the workflow step, but we would need to replace that link with the AB 540 link once that page is ready to go. So if you guys want to look at the residency one and just tell me what needs to be modified, if we could just modify the title, that's easy enough, but I'm guessing you need to modify the English Spanish description as well. Just a guess.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was so confused there for a minute. You're talking about the wording on the Adobe signature page itself?
Correct. Yes. In order to
Okay.
create the
So,
widget,
but
yeah.
Gotcha. All right. I was like, wait a minute. I was confused.
I don't have a document for them to sign yet, is what I'm getting at.
That's fine. Yep, that's fine. If I
But you could easily use the existing one, Mark. You can borrow the one from the residency and we could just replace that link when
yeah, that's what I was going to do.
page.
That's what I was going to do.
Okay.
I thought it was on that one there. That's what I was going to do. You lost me there for a second. I was thinking we didn't need it in the workflow. I'm like, wait a minute, I thought we did. All right, so in our last couple of minutes here, I'm just going to make two quick changes on the workflow. And this will be a little bit educational for you guys too if you start working in workflows a little bit. So I'm going to, I'll just copy the whole thing. Is that all right? And then I'll X out of that. I will. So I'm in the residency questionnaire workflow, which is good to go. And I'm going to go back into the AB 540 workflow. And remember, I needed to add 2 steps. So I'm going to view my builder. I'm going to check it out. I'm going to do a new step. And I'm going to call this one signature. And you guys can edit this required. Is that what it was? And this is going to be a notification step. And the recipient is going to be not a name of a person, but a role, which is going to be the requester. The fallback is going to be admissions and records group. The subject is going to be.
And to explain to everybody, because I had asked this question yesterday, what the fallback is about. So the fallback, in the event the student does not respond and you want to close that out, you would be able to complete that step for them. Obviously, like rejecting it at that point, but that's how Mark explained it to me. Right, Mark?
Yeah, the recipient is putting in a named person, which you typically don't want to be putting in. Like if I put a recipient in here, it'd be this notification is going to go to, if I put Melody's name in here, it would mean every time that this notification step is hit, Melody is going to receive it. We don't want it to be sent to a named person. We want it to be the role. So when you leverage the role, which is the proper thing to do, is a requester, it will ask for a fallback recipient role. So if that requester is taking too long or doesn't respond, somebody can go in and either move this along or give the requester a reminder that they have a notification or a step to either look at or review. All right. Again, you will want to edit the content in here and the link, but I'll let Melody work her magic on that one. So that's one step. All right, I got a minute and a half to finish this out. All right, and then the other step is going to be a task step that we are going to have admissions and records validate signature. This is going to be a task. This is going to be a role again, which is going to be the responsible field, which is A and R, and then they're going to be their own backup. And that is all we need to do on that step. Now we need to connect these things up. This is what Melody had asked me about yesterday. So now I have two new steps here that they're not tied to anything. And if I go to try to save it, it won't let me. So I'm going to disconnect this one here because I want this to go from here to the signature. So I double click, delete, connect that there, connect that here, connect that back. Once I do that, I can validate to make sure my logic is, and I'm not getting any errors, which is good. If I did, it would tell me what's going on. And then I can arrange it and it'll make this more visually pleasing. See how it did that? It lined it up a little bit better, which is nice. And then save and check in, and we're good to go. Now, the only thing we want to do here is, again, have Melody work her magic with that signature page, and I'll let her do that. So I did that in a minute and a half, 2 minutes. Whew, just under the wire. Any questions on anything we covered today? Again, I think we made a lot of great progress.
All right. Thanks, Mark. We appreciate it. Thanks again, Melody.
All right.
Thank you,
Great
Melody.
job,
Bye.
Melody. We'll talk
Awesome.
to you tomorrow.